Hi, my name is Sunny, and welcome to LoreForged Live, the podcast about Ashes of Creation. We are barely holding it together here without the glue to our factory here, and that would be JB. But I do have Cash with me. We'll talk about JB in a second. Cash, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We're going to do fine. Jibbs really is the cornerstone of our show because he handles all of our technical stuff and he does it with grace and professionalism. So tonight,
we got Sunny none of those. We're missing both of those.
We are running with scissors tonight, and that is because Jibbs had a major malfunction of his computer, which is causing him to have to get some components and reinstall them. And we're definitely going to miss him. He's missed. We can text him. He's in chat. So
is he in chat?
There we go.
He needs to be
He is in chat.
Yes. So, oh my goodness, like this is the time where, as the kids say, we need to give JB his flowers, because when somebody's missing, you have to give them their flowers, right? You have to say how important they are and how crucial they are to the whole thing and everything like that. And let me tell you, you never really appreciate a person until you start to try to do what it is that they do and have been doing for years that you don't realize.
And it's funny because I've missed a couple of shows recently because of real life things. And you guys are just like, yeah, Cash isn't here tonight. Let's roll on.
Send it.
We're good.
What are we going to miss? Part 3 to the answer? We're fine.
Exactly. We're going to miss a half an hour monologue from the guy. We're good. But guess what? Tonight, folks, you're my captive audience.
Oh, boy.
And I'm going to talk. Right.
Green light. This is green light for Cash, and the light does not turn red. Yes. So JB, we terribly miss you. He's suffered a computer calamity, but it will be fixed, and he will be back, and nobody will be happier than me because there's so many buttons.
You know what is funny is, of course, like we're not used to running this side of the show, and when I say we, I mean you. You're very good at it. We're going to be just fine. So don't worry about that, folks. But it is funny. It's kind of like losing access to your phone. Like it is gnarly when we have meetings sometimes at work and they're just like, we're going to go cold today and no devices. And I'm just like, excuse me, what? But when you don't have your device or when something happens to your computer, especially for gamers or content creators, the world stops until you get said thing fixed or remedied. And it just takes you all of your time and all of your patience until you're back online and running. It's super freaking stressful.
Yes. Oh boy. There's just, it's hard to really describe what happens when a person has been doing something for so long. Like, for example, streaming for me, easy peasy, right? Like I got this streaming thing. I know exactly where my buttons are. I have it set up, everything like that. But like the things that are happening in the show are very different. Like the opening thing that comes through, he allows us to talk pre-show and then moves some of the faders around and stuff like that. He tests the volumes of things, all of this stuff. He does so much stuff, and then all of a sudden you have to do it. And it's just like somebody saying, all right, live your life for 24 hours without your phone. You're like, like now, nope. Like the next 24 hours? Or can I get some prep time?
Yeah, or was it the last 24 hours? I mean, if you came for quality and production value, sorry, folks.
Enjoy.
Today ain't the day.
Yep. If you're new to LoreForged, please watch episode 79. that would be kind of you. Or wait a week. You can do that too.
We should give it a preemptive. We're doing it wrong.
Oh, yes. You know what actually we get to do? So we've got 2 sounders here. First of all, this one is the entire show.
You are a professional. You are doing it wrong.
Which is one of my favorite sounders. But this is a sounder that happened in the chat just now. We every now and then you get an actual spam that comes through the chat channel. And so in order to get rid of the spam, you have the ban hammer, and we invested in a person that made a bunch of emotes for us. And one of the first emotes we ever had was the Hootie ban hammer. and it's a it's a animated hootie or owl. And with like a Viking shield, and it's angry, and it's so great. And so I made a sounder for it, and I don't know if you've honestly ever heard the banhammer sound effect. Have you? I
don't think I
have. You heard this? This happens. So Katie already hit the guy with the banhammer, but this is the sound that I made for the bands. I love it so much.
You guys are so screwed now.
Hammer time. I'm sure I'll hear it in post.
Oh, you couldn't even hear it. Oh, God, that's the worst.
That's okay. Damn soundboards.
You'll hear it in post. You're going to hear it. It'll come through on mine. It'll be in my recording. Man, perfect. So disappointed. I don't know what button JB would hit to make that sound come through, because who knows, right? But I know he does that every now and then, too. Okay, so here we go. We got a couple things for the show tonight. There was a bunch of news that just came out. We have a check out this thing on Reddit that I put together. We have a roundtable discussion with seasonal events that is an interesting conversation. But before we even begin, Cash, there's a couple things that is true if you are a content creator for Ashes of Creation. First, you are never as knowledgeable as the people in your community or chat. Agreed?
100% agreed.
100% agreed.
Or the officers in your guild and your crafters.
Absolutely.
You'll never know as much as them.
And I feel like we really embody that rule. You know, we are the poster children of the content creator that never knows as much as the people surrounding him.
We are. And because we're trying to create content and play the game. And at a time, now we have some very amazing people in place to run Black Talent Trading, which has been a godsend. Mm-hmm. So yeah, huge thank you to all the folks that we brought on.
Doing a great job,
particularly.
By the way.
Yeah, particularly our branch leads, Chaffee J and Epi Bear and Esteban. Jumba's in there as an officer, and now we have Tudor in there as an officer as well. So thank you guys very much for taking the reins and moving forward our vision for our guild, and having the testicular fortitude to step your foot forward into leadership. But for content creators, it gets very difficult because we're trying to keep up on the news, put the show together, edit the show, do the show, do stuff for our Patreon, and still have time to make videos for everybody and come up with new ideas and do things in the background for the betterment of not just the brand, but for the guild. And it is a lot of work there's a lot of work to be done on the back end. So absolutely, you are correct that we will never know the game as well as a lot of the folks, a lot of the diehard folks in our community.
And we're so thankful for them. Planendorf's actually in our chat, and he says, big thanks to the new officers so that our boys can make content again. It's really true. Like it's more true than we care to admit, but we just got smashed by guild management, and the show just shut down. Like we just stopped doing all of the other stuff that makes us us. And so I personally, and I know you and I know JB, are so thankful that we can get back to doing what we do. And that is this, right? That is ingest the game in whatever way we see fit, and then bring a community together to talk about it in the way that we like to do. And that's what we do, right? And I feel much, much better about it. Now, admittedly, I have not played a lot of the game right now because of our first item that has come out, which is what I was kind of getting to with rule number 1, which is that we never know as much of the game as the community does. Sometimes when there's something that I don't know, somebody will say, like this happened like just the other day. It's like, oh, well, you didn't see that in like minute 37 of the interview with Lazy Peon? I'm like, no, I think I missed that. And then this came out. All of a sudden in our chat, they're talking about the Rogue is coming out on the 27th. of this month. They have a date, a hard date. I was like, where the hell did that come from? And they're like, oh, well, Steven like posted it as a response in a text in chat. He just like, I guess he just sort of dumped it in a conversation and now it's gospel. And sometimes I think like people look at us and they're like, how did you not know this? You're a content creator for Ashes, are you not? I'm like, dude, like I can't know everything, but this is a thing. Like this is actually a thing now. So this is item number 1. So I'll give you 30 seconds. Rogue on the 27th. Go.
First of all, Raka said that was him. So thank you, Raka. We do appreciate that. I'm pumped, and it further shows that when they start talking about something that's coming out, they mean it.
Yeah.
We don't know what state it's going to come out in, it's fine. It's testing. But you can pretty much guarantee that the world will be filled with a baby rogues for at least a couple of days. So I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Including me, right? Including me. So now I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, like, I don't know how much I want to go back into Vero right this very second, right? Because in 2 weeks, that's a wipe for me. And now it's like 1 week, right? So now it is a very interesting time for gamers right now. And our community has kind of moved around this in a tricky sort of way. Like we've tried to pare down the people that are active, the people that are not active and stuff like that. And we're trying to figure out, what this game is right now. And one of the things that this game is testing all sorts of different systems. And so I think like less than 12 hours ago, all of a sudden we get another major system that's like, hey, by the way, that thing that you thought probably wouldn't be in even by launch a year from now, guess what? We're going to start spinning this up. Why don't you guys take a look at this? And that is naval combat. Not in a million years did I expect this one.
Yeah. So this actually just hit the presses, which is my email. An hour and 47 minutes ago, they sent an email, and I just happened to be checking my email right before the show. And yeah, so March 24th through 26th, they're going to do 3 days of naval systems testing on the PTR, with their goal being to test the core loop of naval systems, which was a massive lift for me when I saw that. I was like, the Rogue, and we're testing naval systems already?
Yeah.
That is amazing. Now, keep in mind that the PTR is still under NDA. So we're probably not going to see a whole lot of it until they release that part. But still, systems are moving forward. These are core systems of the game. And remember, I was the guy that said I'd be fine with naval combat coming in as an expansion.
Wasn't that like last show?
Yeah, it has been an opinion of mine. I'm fine with it. And the only reason that I'm still fine with it is because I'm really looking forward to a majority of the game being done and released and out. I realize that I'm in the minority, so it's okay. You can send your hate mail to sunny@LoreForged.com.
Not a real email address. By the way, you say
that's okay.
Do you really say minority?
I really think that I'm in the minority with that. Yeah.
You're the super minority.
Yeah, like probably the only dude that's okay with it. It's okay. I'm very patient. I'm a very patient gentleman. Older, distinguished gentleman.
Where's Jamie when I need him?
Yeah.
Okay, so just for fun in the chat, I asked, what's more exciting, Rogue or Naval? And it's resoundingly Naval. Like they are excited about Naval. People are pumped.
Everybody loves a good belly button.
They want rogues on ships, which is basically pirates, right? Like they're rogues on ships. But yes. Man, like just out of the blue, all of a sudden naval is real. Like this, I think, is one of those moments where the criticism for Ashes for a long time was that it was vaporware. You know, people didn't believe that Ashes was real. until like very recently, some people, and there's probably a minority of people that don't believe that Ashes is still real. But the more you do testing, the more you see that, like, okay, there really is a game here. Like, I'm literally playing it right now. You know, it's not finished by any means, but it does exist. But Naval was one of the things that people said, well, this is the overpromise, right? This is the overpromise of Ashes, which is what Ashes is just a giant overpromise. I mean, you're going to have all these systems. And then as we get closer and closer, it's like, okay, really what you get is PvP and caravans. And that's kind of it, you know, and you can pet an animal to death every now and then. But like, if they're testing Naval, this is a system that a lot of us people that are believers in the game didn't even think that we'd see.
Yeah, this is way earlier than I thought that we would that we'd see Naval, and you have to expect that there's going to be a lot of issues with it, probably crashes with it. There's going to be problems.
Rough. It's gonna be rough.
But that's what testing is for. It's not out there on the live server, the live testing servers yet, and maybe it's going to be another few months before it's out there. But the biggest thing for me is we know that they are actively working on a core system of the game that is something we have not seen yet. There's a lot to be said there, right?
I mean, that's precisely right? Like this exists, and they are actively working on something that we had no idea about, which is cool, right? It's
very cool. So I'm pretty stoked, and yeah, maybe my when I brought up that it was Naval's like belly buttons.
Oh, I see.
There's people talking about belly buttons now. Yes, they are talking about belly buttons. It's a whole system in this game.
Yep. Naval combat.
Welcome into our chat. Yeah, for sure. So I'm pumped, dude. I think it's going to be great. You know, we have a new class and a major game system that is going into testing.
I just realized that I've like housed most of my decently large glass of wine here under stress of like talking about all of this stuff. And I looked down, and that was supposed to last me the whole show. And I'm like, oh dear, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah. I'm going with the coffee.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Coffee and water.
I think that we're going to do the KOTOR here. And this was something that was, I didn't know that I was going to have to come up with a KOTOR. And so when you do check out this thing on Reddit, which is what KOTOR is, I like to gauge the temperature of Reddit just as like how are things going? And it was really good for a while. And now it's kind of reverted back to a lot of people that don't know that the game exists. You know, like you're getting posts that say like, well, I wanted to try to play the game, but then I saw it was like $110. So they don't understand anything about what's going on.
Welcome in.
So, right. Like there's no point in trying to explain the testing and everything like that. At that point, it just is, it's this bizarre sort of thing. And I'm starting to see some of that. So I think that it's fair to say that some of the initial blast of people has tapered off quite a bit. Would you agree with that?
I definitely would agree with it. And I was actually one of the guys that kind of foresaw, I mean, I think all three of us were as guild leaders, we foresaw that our rosters now are going to look much different at launch, much different, because we'll have a lot more fall off. Shoot, we've seen a bunch of our longtime friends fall off, and they're like, yeah, cool. Gave it a shot. I'm out. And I'll be back. You know, and they don't want to commit the testing time, which is fine. I think a lot of people out there are in that boat and finding that the initial being able to see the game initially and play it and get to feel it. And they're like, okay, this is enough for me to want to come back. But I'm going to come back at a later time when the game's a little bit more fleshed out. And then there's this core group of folks. We certainly have a bunch of them in our community that are dedicated to the testing phases. And you have to put yourself into a mindset. So to see the drop off is not surprising. I knew that was going to happen. It's actually good to see people like that in Reddit who are interested in the game and maybe are seeing Lazy Peon's first video for the first time. It's what brought a lot of us here. And I think that that is going to be an ebb and flow that is going to take place until beta. And once beta hits, that is when the real ramp up will happen. Once you're in open and closed and open beta, you're going to start seeing the masses start to show up.
I mean, that could be a year from
Ashes
now.
of Creation.
Easily a year. It could be a year and a half.
It could be. I would say more like 18 months.
Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
Or a closed beta.
Yeah.
But, you know,
To get out, I think phase 3 alpha is going to be a year. That would be my guess on it. So I found this post, which was kind of hilarious. After I sort of filtered through the other stuff, and I'm just going to read this to you. Okay. And it starts like this. The person's name is Famous Cartoonist, which I like. I wonder if he really is a famous cartoonist. And the title is, I like Graham hunting. And the first line in it is just the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. And it says, like many people, I leveled 1 to 20 hunting on Grims outside of Lionhold. Did a lot of people level 1 to 20 hunting on Grims outside of Lionhold?
yeah, hunting. I could definitely see that happening. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So then he goes on, each time a player killed a Grim, it had a % chance of respawning as a huntable mob. I don't actually know if that's true, but let's just assume that it is. Therefore, the more I killed Grims, the more chance I had to spawn a huntable, and I was able to farm 80 plus during a daytime cycle. So this guy sat outside of Lionhold and killed 80 plus Grims in a session and then hunted the rest of them. He said that all the other huntable mobs are on static timers and their spawn rates are unaffected by killing mobs in the area. So he thinks that Grims are actually different in this sense than like bears or wolves or anything like that. I can just park my hunter all to nearby and log in periodically to see if that one spawned. And I know that that is true with some of them. I didn't realize that that was true with all of them, with the exception of Grim. So he basically says, I love this Grim system, right? And I thought about this and I'm like, isn't this the system that they were trying to come up with, right? Isn't this the type of thing that they wanted to do, which is that you don't know where the huntable mobs are, and the more of these things that you kill, the more likely it is that one of them spawns back as a huntable mob, and you don't know where it's going to be or like when it's going to happen.
Yes. The funny thing is that first of all, yes, there is a chance for it to come back as a huntable. And
yeah, I guess that's my first question is this true?
That is a thing. And I actually got started in my artisanship stuff way late because I focused on gear and leveling progression to hit 25, at least during phase 2. I could 100% see myself doing this same exact thing. Just doing nothing but farming Grim, or farming a mob or staying in one spot. Like, I really enjoy that type of gameplay. And it's actually very smart because what this person was doing is you can level up first of all, you can level up your character if you're lower level doing that for at least for a little while. And then you can level up your hunting. You can level up your processing, so you're tanning. And then if he was going leatherworking, you use the skins from those,
just the vertical progression, right?
And you turn it into boots, which is probably the easiest thing to make for leatherworkers right off the bat to start getting that stuff leveling up. I love the fact that you picked one with Grim because it goes back into our content creation a little bit. Spoiler alert. We are going to be releasing a new series at LoreForged that is going to grow over time. And it is basically like I have the Varan Chef, while we're now doing the Varan Bestiary. which is going to detail, it's going to be videos and more detailing the flora and fauna of Ashes of Creation, of Vera. So, and I started with the Grim. This is the very first one. So we got video probably next week on this. It's ready to go. So
Of course,
if you're one of our patrons, then you've seen it. But yeah, we're going to start that series up, and I love the Grim. I think they are one of the most unique. It's very simple. It's very simple little throwaway mob, but it is very unique.
You know what they are? I just realized this. You know what they are? They're Murlocs.
They are very much like Murlocs.
They're the Murlocs of Ashes of Creation.
I called them, I mean, I need to look this up because I called them vermin, but they are something else. And I'll have to find
They're rabbits, aren't they?
Well, they have little mouse ears. Some of the ears look very mousy, which is why I called them vermin. But there's actually another word for it.
I think they actually count as rabbits in the game. Like when it says like hunt rabbits, you hunt Grim.
I will look this up. Yeah, I will look this up.
Well, I can tell you right now, our chat is telling us that Aphasia says that they counted as rabbits. And I
don't know if that's
remember a quest, not a quest, but whatever like those boards are at the front. And yeah, but like they're very much like Murlocs from Warcraft, right? They're a recognizable thing that you can't miss. They're nearly everywhere, and they have personality. I feel like they have personality, right? Like I'm waiting for the Grem society. Like when you go into like a Grem like stronghold or something like that. And they would work really well as little plushies.
They would work great as plushies. I don't know that they have the frontal cortex to have a stronghold. But if you look at them, they are classified as rabbids. Not rabbits, rabbids.
Rabbids? Have I somehow confused this and conflated it with bunnies?
Yeah.
Man, I swear, rabbits.
I'll put it in chat right now. Yeah, it's they are rabbids with a D. With a D as in Delta.
I do know how to spell rabbit.
There you go.
Rabbids.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know how to spell rabbit. Maybe that's what they're talking about.
Or maybe they have rabies. Maybe that's the carrier of rabies across Vera. And you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first. Grem lore. We care about it.
I love it. I want to be the front runners in Grem lore. I think that LoreForged should really, this is our 2025 fiscal goals, is to be the premier Grem related podcast, your source for Grem information.
Yeah. All things Grem lore. You got it. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I think they're
that was a good one though.
I think they're misspelling rabbits, frankly. It was a very interesting one because I read it. I was like, hang on. 1 through 20 hunting right outside of Lionhold just with Grim. I was like, this guy must be bored out of his mind. And apparently not. You know?
See, Planendorf said, sir, it's called a grimoire. The Grimoire Memoirs. Detailing the life and death of Grem.
Don't tell me that Grem can't have a society if they're called Grimoire.
No, frontal cortex too small.
No way.
Very small brains.
We're going to find it. We're going to find it out there. They're going to be writing books. They're going to have libraries and like mechanic shops, and they're going to be building circuit boards out of like carrots or something.
Well, they're not goblins. Yeah. And
goblins definitely have the frontal cortex to have a society.
They definitely do. But not the Grem. Grem are the pets.
We can move on. That's where the Dwemer went, right? That's what Katie says.
Yeah.
They became Grim. Okay, so here's where we go into the meat and potatoes of the show here. And this is the roundtable discussion for seasonal events. Seasonal events. Now, I know from personal experience, from knowing you for years and years and years and years and years, that I already know the answers to these questions. So I'm just going to serve them up to you on a silver plate, and you can just eat right off this plate. I got lots of metaphors. I can slow pitch this one across the plate, and you can just hit home runs. Whatever metaphor you'd like, Cash, but I know for a fact that the answers are coming here, and they're going to be strong. So the first thing here is seasonal events are a huge draw to many MMO players, from Warcraft and Guild Wars 2, Halloween events to SWTOR's Rakghoul Plague. Remember the Rakghoul Plague?
Yes, I do remember the Rakghoul Plague. It was a pain in the ass.
the infection
like getting
thing?
Poisoned.
Oh my God. There were some articles. There were some articles on the Rakghoul Plague that were like, society needs to really be careful here, because SWTOR is actually demonstrating what happens in the event of a mass outbreak. And this is pre-COVID. Pre-COVID.
I was going to say, let's preface this with this was pre-COVID.
And we saw with the Rakghoul Plague that once the Rakghoul Plague gets into town, you're all effed. Every one of you.
Especially if it gets on a space station.
Oh,
you
my
are
God.
done, because the trolls are going to cough and sneeze and fart all over
Everyone's
you.
throwing up on each other in the like at the galactic market. It's, oh my God. This was pre-COVID. SWTOR.
This was pre-COVID.
Showed us the future.
And we're happy to announce that SWTOR was very upset about the fact that they had that in the game, and in about 2020 they pulled it. I'm just kidding. It was pre-COVID. They didn't know.
That's right. The game was already dead by then.
But it was a fun event, and it was a seasonal event. It came around, like, I think it was right around flu season that event started.
Do you think that they coincided it with flu season?
Yeah, it was a campaign to get people flu shots.
Don't tell anyone, but we're going to do this in like late February every year.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So Plandorf says our Star Wars anti-vaxxers called anti-bactors.
Too smart for his own good. That's right.
Yeah, you get it.
Too smart.
Back to Healy stuff.
Right. Okay. The green stuff. Okay. So first question. What are your thoughts on Ashes of Creation having seasonal events? Here comes the slow pitch. Here you go.
I could take it or leave it.
Lies.
I mean, I'm not a big, I don't really like holidays that much.
You are a professional. You are doing it wrong.
Lies.
Katie's calling me a liar in chat. Holiday events and seasonal events, they do coincide together, and they are some of my very favorite things in games. Definitely won't lie. And particularly when we're talking Halloween and Christmas, I will stop everything I'm doing in games to max out those events and do everything I have to do. I love them. I think in Ashes of Creation, it's very important because MMO players typically like those types of events. And I think as long as the seasonal events are done in alignment with the game's world, particularly the dynamic world, I think they could really be a hit. So I don't know how much shorter to make that answer without monologuing on it, but I think we're probably going to talk about some of the games that did it real well, and
that's exactly what we're going to talk about.
Some of the games that didn't, but I love them. I'm all about them.
I think that there is always room in an MMO for seasonal events. I think that is how can I put this? Like, there's different ways to make an MMO, right? And we've played all the different ways. You can make it stylistic. You can make it look as close to true life as you can. You can make it gritty. You can make it funny. You can make it like almost fourth wall breaking, right? Like comical and real world event sort of related. And then you can do the other side of it, which is probably closer to what Ashes is going to do, where there isn't going to be any like real world sort of meta jokes and stuff like that. but they almost all, I can't even think of one that doesn't have seasonal events. It is just a tried and true tradition with MMOs. We want them. We love them. Very few people do not enjoy. Well, let me take that back. Very few people don't believe that seasonal events have a place in MMOs, right? Even the ones that don't necessarily like take part in them, they have accepted that this is a part of our favorite game genre. It's built in, man.
I will take it a step further and say that we want them. We love them. We need them in games. And I believe that Ashes is already doing it. And I knew that Ashes was going to be doing it when we started to see some of their seasonal tweets that they were putting out on X. And I've seen a Christmas one. I've seen the Easter one. I think that their social media team's doing a really good job with tying those things in and giving us little teasers. And as a matter of fact, on the Easter one, it was a Grim hiding behind a giant egg, which was super cool. But they are already doing it, and we were able to see it here during phase 1.
Rabbit, a giant Grim and an Easter egg. There it is. It's proof.
No,
it's proof.
Rabbit,
it hit me just all at once. It's a rabbit.
Okay, fine. If it's a rabbit, then it's a real a-hole of a rabbit. Yeah. I will say that. But they did right in the middle of Lionhold, there was a huge Christmas tree for one. And it kind of made me laugh because the Christmas tree was up well after New Year's.
I think it's still there.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's gone. But like my neighbors like to do and leave their Christmas lights up all year round, which
does this bother you?
In a nice neighborhood, this is frowned upon.
See, if you live in the Midwest, you have to wait like at least a month because you don't want to get on your roof.
Well, I live in Southern California, and I think we had this discussion, by the way, in our chat, where I was talking about my neighbors leaving their Christmas lights up all year. And I was like, so is it rude for me to offer to take them down for them?
Yeah, you can't offer to your neighbor to take down their Christmas lights.
It's spreading the joy of the new year.
Do you want me to just mow every other, time you mow for you? Maybe I could do some trimming around the front, You might as well just be like, hey, dude, your house looks like crap and it annoys me greatly.
I don't like it.
I'm at the point where I'm going to come over to your house and do your chores.
And actually, Axis in chat has a very good point. When they removed the tree, they forgot to remove the tree topper because it was still there for a while, just hanging out. But
testing, working as intended.
We're back on track here. Ashes is already in the spirit of seasonal events. They had the massive Christmas tree in Lionhold, and then they did a really cool thing where by doing board quests, you could get the Santa's hat, which there was a lot of speculation out there that Santa's hat, because the explanation of that Santa's hat, the little tooltip, said something about bringing you luck. And we had some folks in our guild actually test it, and they're like, confirmed. Santa hat on.
Really?
It brings you extra stuff. Yeah, which is pretty cool. That's a little Easter egg that they threw in. And
big enough sample size that we really believe this?
It sounds correct. Yeah, that it actually brought.
Whoa!
And it was hard to get. It was not easy to get from somebody who didn't normally do resource gathering and crafting.
Really?
So it was pretty cool. Yeah. Because I looked at what you had to do and I went, yeah, I'm not doing that. They're gonna wipe it. So I'll get it when it counts. When I can actually keep it. But
it's like me with the rogue. Ain't nothing happening on the mage right now.
Yeah. And it's funny. I see your point with that. You get these, and we experienced it with phase 1 where you get these weird moments where that wipe's coming. And you kind of slow the gameplay a little bit. So right now I'm taking the time and just doing, guild events and stuff with our guildies and building that relationship was.
Yeah, you've been running some stuff. You ran some caravans. You've done some other stuff.
I mean, every weekend, bro, they're doing some stuff every weekend. And it's been some pretty neat stuff that we've been doing with Thogley's Guild, stuff we've been doing with the Grey Sentinels, and stuff we've been doing some stuff with
the Portuguese
Nova Ordum. Yeah, with Nova Ordum, which is just, it's been so much fun to build the community during the test. Has been a lot of fun, despite the community breakdown that's happening on the roads of Era.
With a small section of the community that we've deemed worthy of talking to.
Yeah. And, even with all that stuff, people are playing their game and having fun. We've identified the psychopaths on our server for sure. And whatever, play your game and have a good time. We're just happy you're there. Kind of. But yeah. Okay. Back to seasonal events. I want your opinion, and we'll cycle here to number 2, which is going to talk a little bit about the games that we have played and that has done it right. So what games have you done? What games have done this right? And what events are worth Intrepid pulling from?
Okay. So I think that you can't go too far without mentioning Warcraft on this one, because Warcraft is sort of the one that I really think Warcraft. Remember when I was talking at the beginning of this segment about that fourth wall breaking and the sort of pop culture references and stuff? That's Warcraft all day, right? Warcraft makes Leroy Jenkins is an embedded character in Warcraft now. Absolutely fourth wall, right? And they like to make references to TV shows, and they like to make references to music. And for God's sakes, the dances are all, real, right? They came from somewhere.
Right.
I think that Warcraft actually did the seasonal events very well. They were a lot of fun. People looked forward to them. There would be new ones every year. They were lighthearted, which was sort of Warcraft's best selling feature, in my opinion, was the don't take yourself too seriously kind of model. I think that when Warcraft tries to take itself too seriously is when it really gets in trouble. They do best when they're lighthearted. The other one that I want to mention is Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2, the seasonal events in Guild Wars 2 were much better than Warcraft, without as much of the humor, I would say. The events themselves were so good. Good.
Agreed.
The platforming thing that Guild Wars 2, I don't know, okay, Intrepid, everybody posts this job from Intrepid, which is the economic designer, and they always post it and they send it to me and they're like, hey, you should apply to this job, right? I have no actual formal business training on any of this stuff. There's no way that I'm the person that's Intrepid is looking for.
I have no formal training in singing or dancing. Shit bangs. Sorry. My bad. My yellow carding myself.
Regardless, right now. Slight derail there. Yes, absolutely. Talk about your pop culture references, man. I'd forgotten about that one.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What was his name? What was that guy's name? You got to look that up, because it was an American Idol audition, wasn't it? Isn't that where that started? Oh my God. I can't. It's just, we're off.
Okay,
we're done.
William Hing Chung Hung.
Yes, William Hung. That's
William
right.
Hung.
William Hung. Oh my God. Thank you. People in the chat are like, oh yeah, it's William Hung.
You're welcome.
Damn it. How do you remember that? It was 15 years ago from American Idol. It's probably on VHS, for God's sakes.
I'm putting it in chat. You're welcome, everybody. There you go.
Yep, you're right. Water says you broke Sonny. You absolutely did. Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2, the events that they had were just so good. Some of them were hard. Remember that music one?
Yeah.
Where you had to hit the things and you had to play the music with your keyboard? You were playing with your keyboard, and I was pretty good at it because I play guitar and stuff, but people that don't their fingers don't work like a guitarist would, they're like, this sucks. This is the worst.
I was one of them. I could not do that one.
My point with the whole thing about the economic thing was that somewhere out there, Guild Wars 2 decided to post a job to find the world's best platform creator, and that person works for Guild Wars, because their platforming game on the holiday events, the Halloween events, the Christmas events, where you have to run up and jump on the platforms and move around, it is world class. It is almost worth you getting Guild Wars in a holiday thing and just leveling a character enough that you can make it to town to do one of these things. It is hard to describe how intricate, how perfect, and how just mind-blowingly addictive those platforming seasonal events are.
Yeah, and that is one of the examples of a game that I stopped all progression and did nothing but that seasonal event for the entire time it was out to try and maximize my rewards. And I remember in particular the Halloween event, the jumping puzzles. Sunny's specifically talking about the jumping puzzles or that they had in place for these. And one was for their Halloween event, which is called, let me pull it up.
I can't remember. God, it was
I remember
pretty
it
dark or something, wasn't it?
The Shadow of the Mad King.
Yes, the Mad King.
Yes, it was narrative driven.
Oh,
the events were iconic to Halloween, although it wasn't Halloween.
Right.
It fit in the world, and you would go into cities, and the Mad King would show up on a timer periodically and just F with you.
Taunt you.
He would go through this script. Oh my God, it almost makes me want to play GW2 now. He would go through this script and the Mad King would just screw with you. Then they had these dungeons that you could go through to get different gear skins and such. But the jumping puzzles were absolutely lights out. And I remember going over and over and over and over again to try and complete this jumping puzzle. And I finally got it and figured it out. And then I had the finger memory, the muscle memory. There you go. That's just the one.
Fingers.
To be able to complete it almost every time that I tried it. But it took me a good week to get it. And I love
once you hit the first one, you get the second one the very next try. You're like, I got this.
You got the rhythm, you know exactly where to go. And the Christmas one was just as fun. And you would get all kinds of, if you made it to the end and got the treasure chest, then you had all kinds of stuff. And that was enough. It fit Guild Wars 2 very well. Now I'm on the other side of it with Ashes of Creation because I want it to fit the world. I really do.
How do they do it then?
Well, I don't think that it would fit the world if there were a bunch of, whimsical jumping puzzles and stuff in Guild Wars 2 style.
Yeah.
It fit Guild Wars 2. It really did because it was more of a little bit more of a whimsical world. But Ashes of Creation is not. Ashes of Creation has the shadow of dark in it. The shadow of every time you go out, you might die and lose your shit.
Well, that's just the PvP part, though, right?
Just the virus server. But also the mobs, right? But I still think there's a way that they could do it that fits in well. And if you paid attention to any of the pre-order pack lore, and maybe one of my Varen Chef videos, Demontide has been taunted at us, and Demontide is what I personally think, because it happens on the 31st of Olatus, which gives us a little glimpse at maybe Olatus is October. It's the 31st, so it kind of lines up. And that's when Demontide takes place. And Demontide, what I believe is the Halloween event, for Ashes of Creation. Much darker than the Christmas jumping puzzle in Guild Wars 2. So what I'm hoping,
well, they had a Halloween jumping puzzle too, right? Like you don't have to compare the Halloween one to their Christmas one and say this one was darker.
But it was the same stuff. It was just, you know, like a big instanced open area with like a bunch of Halloween themed obstacles to jump on top of,
pumpkins and floating iron girders and
big, huge freaking clock towers, you know, Gothic clock towers and stuff.
That was cool though. At the end of the jumping puzzle, when you jumped through the glass and the clock tower.
Yeah, like there's all these things flying around, and you have to hit them at the right time and jump through the window, and you end up in the top of the clock tower and get the thing. But that doesn't fit Ashes of Creation to me.
All right, but I can. All right, it's just me off the top of my head. Okay, I'm gonna solve this problem for you. I hope the developers are paying attention. Demontide. Okay, so you write some lore that basically says that during Demontide they forced some of the settlers to compete for the amusement of the local warlords, and one of the amusement events was a race up one of the mountains, one of the local mountains, where the warlords had set out traps and obstacles and things like that. And the settlers were selected at random, and the only way to survive if you were selected, kind of like Hunger Games, like as tribute, was to win the Demontide race. So you end up there with the lore that has a situation where you have to make your way up the mountain in order to basically survive, and everyone else is killed.
Yeah, I volunteer as tribute.
Cash.
I'm in.
You're in.
Yeah. No, I'm volunteering as tribute.
Right.
I want to do it.
Well, usually you know, it's not a great thing to be volunteered because you got like a 1 out of 10 chance of being murdered, probably brutally.
Yeah, but I like the example because, you know, you're crawling up a mountain and maybe there's freaking sacrificial remnants like trying to kill you as you
can make it dark.
Climb up, and you can totally make it dark. And I actually pulled this thing up here because now Demontide's on my brain and I want it to be Halloween already.
It's like March, right?
I do, and I still want it to be Halloween already. Okay. This is from the pre-order pack lore, and this is specifically about Demontide. On the 31st of Olatus, the traditional Varen holiday known as Demontide, the Unseen Order conducts an annual ceremony they call the Collection. At the stroke of midnight, I think that's midnight, but Jibbs isn't here, so we don't have to explain it. Any members of the sect who possess a collector's torch glove gather to conduct a blood-crazed invocation and summoning ritual. The torchlit forest clearing is filled with a cacophony of maniacal, disembodied laughter and the grinding, rumbling, and snapping of bones. Limbs and body parts from an untold variety of creatures animate and combine, forming the shambling, undead abominations known as sacrificial remnants. These large, many-headed beasts drag themselves about on their hands and knees, scraping the ground with their oversized knuckle bones as they faithfully obey the orders of the cult leaders.
Okay, I don't love Halloween as much as you do, but like all of these things lore-wise, and I know Planendorf said he was locked in here, like all of these things, the lore writes itself, right? Like, and with that stuff, with all of the work that they've done on this, you can for sure make a few events around it, right? And it's just not that hard. Like, look at the knuckle dragging, whatever. Like, you just have to make your way through the gauntlet of these guys and get out the other side, right? That you're dumped in there, and everything with Demontide to me says like unwilling participants, right? And monsters that they have to get through. But there is a great idea right in the chat here with Della Luna. Demontide and monster coins. The last one left out and not turned into a zombie wins. Right? Like if you get turned, then you are one of the zombies chasing after the other guys.
I volunteer as tribute. I want to do it.
It's brilliant, right?
It's
the other stuff with Christmas, Easter. I'm not a huge Easter guy. But like I'm thinking of like some other like classic holidays. They always have a summer one, right? Like there's a good summer one that comes through. Valentine's Day is a nice, fun one that happens.
Pump the brakes on Valentine's Day. Because if they turn Valentine's Day into World of Warcraft's Valentine's Day, where it's nothing but hearts and candy kisses everywhere, I'm going to throw up on my keyboard. It is.
So you need more bone snapping and knuckle dragging to satisfy you?
Dude.
What's wrong with you? Do you hate love?
I love love. I love love and I love my love very much. Okay. Happily married for a long damn time. But it is a little immersion breaking to see, little heart things on people and people flying around on a freaking goblin steampunk made little heart craft. I'm just like, okay, I'm out on that stuff. But they do have like World of Warcraft has Noble Garden, and it is Azeroth's rendition of Easter. So you are running around picking up eggs. I don't remember this at all. Yeah, so Noble Garden, spring-themed Easter event. Players search for brightly colored eggs and earn rewards like bunny costumes and festive mounts. It fits Warcraft.
Here's an easy one. The harvest, right? Like Thanksgiving, there is not a culture out there that doesn't celebrate the harvest, right? And that is
Call it whatever you want.
Yeah, that's low-hanging fruit, man. Like since the dawn of time in human history, your culture celebrates the harvest. It is
or Lunar Festival.
Lunar Festival is another one, like the new year, right?
Dude, for the Renkai, it's perfect.
Absolutely. Here's a question that I have. Are you saying for the Renkai because of like Chinese New Year? Is that where you're going with that?
Yeah, because that's what their architecture is based off of Eastern culture.
This is true.
So they could have the Lunar Festival. You got the Pyre could have like an Earth Day because they're a bunch of tree huggers, right?
Are we just trying to come up with cultural stereotypes for this in MMOs?
Dude, it's seasonal lore. So the answer to that is yes. Don't worry, dude. There's nobody that anybody can report this to.
Oh,
okay.
God. Do we have an HR department in this company?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. So here was my question before I completely lost it again. It was, do you think that it is more difficult in Ashes of Creation because of the fact that we do switch seasons all the time? Like, I know that the testing is a little bit different, but we run seasons about once every 3 weeks, it seems like.
Yeah, and that is an interesting thought. And they might have to schedule the timing right for that. So like in testing, it might last a couple of weeks, but that's about the time frame for one of these seasonal events.
Yeah, I mean, you could just have to change the lore on it, right? Like, we only celebrate this once every 10 winters or something like that, right? Like,
yeah, right. Like summer solstice or something,
Yeah,
and it lasts, into the hot months, or whatever Christmas event that they have lasts during the winter months, and
yeah, but the solstice comes around every time. What I'm saying is, like, if you cycle through seasons every 3 weeks, you don't want to celebrate Christmas, Thanksgiving, and all these things like in a 3-month period on a loop. You want to celebrate Christmas at Christmas. So you say, like, we only celebrate this once every 10 snowfalls, right? Like every 10 winter seasons which is the
equates to every year in game.
The winter celebration, right? Like every 9th harvest we do the harvest celebration or something like that.
They could pull it off.
Yeah,
they could pull it
off. The sun is
and make it
ripping around this planet. It is a fast cycle.
Doable. It's doable. I don't know, man. I think that, if they could tie it into the world so it fits with, the dark fantasy aspect of Ashes of Creation, the whole motif they have going with dark fantasy, and Even things like events that are triggered by some of those world changes that you're talking about, because it's, I don't know how they could tie it in with nodes. They could add story arcs that are specific to holiday events. Maybe there's a story arc or something where you go in a certain area during the wintertime and there's a blizzard there and you gotta, I don't know, kill the abominable snowman or whatever they want to call them. Just super cool things that are built into the dynamic world that they're building into Vera.
And I think that, first of all, Tomac is right that I just completely defied Copernicus when I said that the sun was circling the planet. That's probably not how that works.
Hey, Tomac.
It's all right.
Hey, buddy.
The church wanted to burn that guy also. So I think that so long as the developers stay true to themselves and stay true to the game, right? And I wouldn't expect anything other than that. If they understand what it is that Ashes is, then my point is that you can make events as good as Guild Wars 2, as fun and flavorful as Warcraft within your own flavor. It's possible. You just have to put a little bit of thought into it and lean into the lore, which is great for us, but just do Ashes, but have some fun with it and let the players have fun with it. Because honestly, at the end of the day, we love this stuff. This is something that is hardwired into MMO players to expect, to want, and to honestly compare to other games. This is a big part of MMO gaming.
It is. And I love the fact that you brought up, let the people have fun with it, because this is the perfect opportunity. When you bring additional opportunities for people to create their own content, there will be Christmas parties and Easter parties and Thanksgiving celebrations and, all of those things that go along with your in-game seasonal events and what's taking place in the real world. People will bring that into their game. And, if there's already a theme there, you're good to go.
Taverns, right? Like we say this all the time. What does Ashes of Creation have going for it? And it's taverns, right? Brewfest. They want that kind of stuff. Brewfest would be great, but can you imagine if you were able to decorate your own tavern seasonally with different things?
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that you need to build the thing like Minecraft, but I'm saying if you have certain things that you can attach to points on your tavern as you see fit and stuff like that, it would just be great. Serve different foods in there, serve different drinks in there, have seasonal stuff.
I'm putting this out there right now. We already have Olatus and we know that it's October. We need Olatus Fest.
Olatus Fest.
Everybody wears leaderhose. Everybody wears leaderhose.
That's right. Happy Olatus Fest. Oh my God, man. It's so good. Oh, yeah. Oh, that would be fantastic. Can you imagine at your guild tavern having Olatus Fest contests where people had to drink a bunch of beers and then run a course or something like that, or drink a bunch of beers and then play tavern games like darts or something
Yep. Dorf, you better be taking notes.
I hope he's locked behind the ads. He hasn't gotten out from behind a male enhancement ad for the last 30 minutes. He's stuck.
He's in an ad for Ozempic right now.
Well, I think we've done as much damage to the brand as we possibly could for one night without JB. Usually it's my role to try to keep things reined in. But see, JB, this is what happens when you're not around. Things just, they get out of hand for everyone, including myself.
Yep. When the cat's away.
Yes. The glue, right? I can't use the word glue because I'm doing this horse racing thing and it's become an almost meme with me that I refer to anything bad with horses is glue. So this horse is glue at 4 furlongs.
What you're gonna turn them into?
Yes. They're all going to the glue factory. Anybody that does bad, I put a label on my Excel sheet that it's actually got it's a column that says glue, and if it's turned red, that horse is done.
See, dude, I'm calling BS on you because you're upset. You're upset with me because I celebrated Eastern culture. I am going to contact PETA and I'm going to let them know what you said.
Upset with my horse treatment? With my digital horses? Well, I'll have you know that if they run fast, they're very well taken care of.
Yeah, you're probably going to pet them until they die.
Just the slow ones. All right. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment and let us know in the podcast app you're using, or use the YouTube comments below. This comes out on Monday, of course, and lets us know how we're doing. Actually, I don't know if we want to know how we're doing, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, and don't leave a review about this.
Yeah, it lets other people know that you don't like us very much. So you can email us at LoreForgedHQ@gmail.com. And now we'll pass it off to Sunny. Hi, I'm Sunny. You can go to LoreForged.com to find links to all of our Ashes of Creation content, including YouTube, which is youtube.com/@LoreForged, which is now being repopulated because we are no longer managing the guild and can actually go back to what we do well, which is creating content for you, including on Twitch, which is where this show is recorded live. And every now and then I do some streaming and have some fun. Incidentally, I did start a new series called Sunny Side Up, which is on YouTube, and I kind of answer one question from our Patreon, which is at patreon.com/LoreForgedHQ. In the happy hour, which is our exclusive Patreon channel, people ask questions and I answer a question just with my coffee in the morning. And I'm pretty sure that Burns is going to do a reaction video to our most recent one, because I do definitely call him out in it.
He's a good time. Going to crush us.
Oh, I know. But the problem is that I do mine on the fly, and he's going to meticulously sit down and like map out an absolute destruction of everything that I've said.
Well, you've already questioned the fact that he's a real doctor. This is happening.
That was the first thing I did. Cash, go ahead.
Friends, you can follow us on X for all things Ashes of Creation and LoreForged's coverage of it. You can also follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on both of those social media sites at LoreForgedHQ. If you are interested in joining our PVX Guild for adults, parents, and working professionals, you can do so by coming to our Discord. And our guild's called the Black Talon Trading Company, and it is in some very capable hands. Now, these guys are going to forge this guild forward well through launch and beyond. So we're very, very excited about that. You can find all of that stuff at LoreForged.com, which is going to take you to our link tree. We would like to welcome in some new members to our community this week: Krypton, Jonder, Magnus, Ashgrove, Iski, Rain, Concepts, and this person called Esteban's Map. He's now in our... Damn it, Esteban! Reads whatever's on the teleprompter.
You put that on there.
Somebody's... It's one of our guild leaders' bots, I guess, joining the guild. So anyway,
thank you so much for joining us. We please stick around for the raid. Or does he usually say that after we've turned it off? I think that's what happens after that. But thank you so much for joining us. We miss JB dearly. Hopefully he gets his Swedish-made pump fixed very soon. And
it's not mine, baby.
It's definitely his.
It's not mine.
You wrote a book about it. Swedish-made pumps and you.
I love dad jokes. They're so good.
They're so good. But anyways, I will say goodbye on behalf of JB, and peace, love, and honeybees.
Safe travels, adventures. I almost forgot my line.
You gonna say JB's line? What is it?
Yeah. War, hate, and death metal.